Hello, everyone. My name is Davon Rees. I am the host of Hotel Ownership Unplugged, a weekly show here coming to you live. And today we're going to be talking about mastering the art of really pretty much structuring hotel deals. And today we have a special guest, Tom Byer. I call him Tommy. So if I call him Tommy, forgive me, but he goes by Tom. I've been knowing him as Tommy. So sorry, Tom. But anyway, yes, for those who don't know who I am, my name is Davon Rees. I am the president and founder of the Vaughn Group, the CEO of Vestor, which is a crowdfunding platform. And I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. And this is a weekly show just talking about everything dealing with hotel ownership. So I'll be having special guests, myself, what I have going on. I have a challenge coming up on September 1st. It's called the 100-Day Challenge. The goal is to create 100 hotel investors or owners in 100 days. Last time I did it, I helped create it over 100. So I'm trying to do it again with this next challenge coming up. So Tommy or Tom.
Why didn't you do 200? Why didn't you do 500? I mean, let's set some big goals instead of
Okay,
100.
so I already did it. So I already set it out for 100 in 100 days. So after I get 100, that's a lot of numbers. Wait, don't be shying on 100 now. That's a lot of people. That is a lot of investors and owners. Okay.
Have a big impact. Yeah.
Yes, that led to what was it? I think it was a $11.7 million transaction. So I'm on it again. I don't know where it's gonna lead to next time, but it's gonna lead to another deal. Okay. But Tommy, so the big news, or what I call it, the hospitality tea. And so for those who don't know what tea is basically we are sharing the news. So the hospitality tea this week, Hyatt, where I got my start from. They've been in the news. They made one of the biggest transaction of the year, right? They closed on the Hyatt Regency, the Hyatt Regency, or the sale at a Hyatt Regency Orlando in Florida. Actually, I've stayed there before. Did I stay there? I think I stayed there before next door to Hyatt. Yeah, you ever stayed there before? It's a nice hotel.
I haven't stayed there, no. I usually stay with Hilton or Marriott. Nothing against Hyatt, but
no, I stayed at the other one. I don't think I stayed at. No, I did stay there. Maybe I went through. Anyway, so Tom, what you think about this tea that got everybody talking in the hospitality space or in the hotel space about the transaction at the Hyatt Regency Orlando?
Yeah, there's been some big deals that have gotten done this year. You had that Turtle Bay out in Hawaii. I think that was like 700 million, something like that.
Yeah.
So it seems like the bigger deals are getting done this year more so than the smaller deals, right? Because because a lot of the big public groups have a lot of money. You hear about dry powder. These guys have been sitting on this money for a little while now, waiting to put it into play. So I think it's a good deal. I think it's a good deal for both parties. I think Hyatt, from what I read, got a long-term management agreement on it, which is good for them, right? Because because they'll be able to protect the brand and protect the assets since it's sort of a one of their flagship properties. It was $1 billion deal. And I think there was something to do with an additional development project as well. So there's a lot of new development. Orlando's got 1 million rooms, right? And then it doesn't have 1 million, but it has a lot. But then you have Epic Universe, which is Universal's new park that'll open up, I think it's next year sometime or maybe the year after. But with that, there's a lot of new development coming as well. And I think this deal was new development as a part of that. So I think it makes sense. It's a world that I haven't been super involved in $1 billion deals, let's say.
Right.
But
No, I'm just looking at it. This is from Hotel Investment Today. It was just basically it was a joint venture between the Los Angeles-based Aries Management and the Houston-based Rita Development, and so they're acquiring the 1,641 room or key Hyatt Regency Orlando from Hyatt, and so this was something that was reported first by Bloomberg, and I like how they broke down the structuring of the financing, right? So according to Belisario, it was a $620 million floating rate CMBS loan. They broke down how Hyatt, they brought in the 265 million in preferred equity, and they broke down with the four different tranches, right? So of course I already knew going in that it was going to be a complicated structure for it to be $1 billion sale, right? And so, you and I, we are a part of a community where we educate a lot of first time hotel owners and investors. And they had some questions around how they structured the deal. So we talk about the four trenches again with the $165 million senior preferred equity at 7.5%, 7.45%, which is reduced to 6% when the renovations are completed, plus the $60 million in junior A and B preferred equity, which will be converted to senior preferred equity if certain, again, all of this is from Hotel Investment Today. So I really like how they broke it down, which will be converted to senior preferred equity if certain cash flow requirements are satisfied. So it can also be reduced to zero if the NOI, which stands for net operating income hurdles, aren't met by 2032. There is also $40 million in renovation preferred equity, which can be reduced to $0 once renovations are completed. So it says Belisario said that the joint venture is planning about $60 million in elective improvements scheduled to be completed by the second half of 2025 or 2026. And then it says one of the buyers, Ares Management, in May acquired the London's Land Securities Group. Well, that's a different thing. But anyway, so just based off of what I just read out loud, what do you think about how they structured the deal? Do you have any thoughts on that, Tom?
Well, I think a couple things. One of the things you said at first is something that we usually kind of shy away from, which is that floating rate CMBS that you mentioned. But I think in this case, it makes a lot of sense, right? If you think about upcoming rate cuts and things like that, right? So that actually may help them. I'm sure there's some kind of floor that's involved, right? So for those of you who don't know, you can purchase things called rate caps, which people were smart to do a number of years ago, which would cap that floating rate interest, and you pay for that. So it would say, hey, look, the interest rate on this loan is not going to go more than 8% or whatever it is. But now the inverse of that is true, to where the CMBS lender probably has some kind of floor where they're saying, look, no matter how many rate cuts come out, because it's probably based on prime, you're never going to pay us less than 5% or 6% or whatever it is. So I think that makes a lot of sense. The other thing I liked in there was that there's some hurdles that the brand being the operator here is kind of manchise. If you're not familiar with that term, it means it's a managed franchise asset, right? It's a managed asset. So the brand comes in and does the management of it. So in this case, it sounded like there were some incentives for them to hit some NOI hurdles in order for the deal to work for them. So I like that. I like that a lot. And we talk about structuring management agreements that way too, right? To where maybe the management company gets some sort of incentive if their NOI of the property exceeds some hurdle, right? And it's you're just holding people accountable, but you're also giving them an incentive to hit a number. So obviously the people involved in structuring this deal are really sharp and have done big deals like this before. I know Ares has a lot of nice larger properties. So yeah, it's a big deal. It's exciting.
Yes, big deal, huge deal. And I like how it was displayed on how it was broken down. As I mentioned before, so what kind of advice would you give? Now, of course, I would not recommend this type of deal for any first timer, because you probably think, oh, I can do that. They did it. No, you can't. So it's very complicated, very structured. They have a lot of experience. meaning they have a lot of capital partners. They have a lot of people who trust them in the capital markets, where they're able to pull that off to actually raise that type of capital and have that much access to that type of capital to pull off $1 billion transaction, right? And so, or over $1 billion transaction. So, what would you recommend, Tommy, would be the best way? Because we do have, because my audience are a majority first time owners or first time investors, or even not even first timers. Folks who have maybe a couple assets under their belt, and they're trying to find different and alternative ways to structure their deals. What kind of advice would you recommend for folks who are getting started, who are trying to structure their deals, and they don't even know where to start. They don't even know where to begin.
Well, I mean, you can look at that article and just start removing some zeros, right? So
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that you can't like glean something off of it. You can't say, hey, all right, look, instead of just doing a normal GP LP structure, GP being general partner, LP being limited partner, maybe there's other ways for people to get involved. Maybe that means, so the seller, let's take for instance, maybe the seller will hold some money and do some seller financing on a deal. Maybe you offer that to them, or maybe the seller can stay in the deal as a percentage owner, and then they receive their money when the hotel hits XYZ return back to the investors, and that's called like an earn out, right? So so the point is, looking at this deal, don't get so, don't look at the numbers and go, oh, I'll never do a deal like that. Well, maybe you won't. Most people in their lifetime won't ever do a deal like that. But it doesn't mean you can't take a look at what they did and say, oh, maybe I can apply this to my deal, even if it's a $2 million transaction,
Right, right,
and
right.
yeah, I mean, you have to get creative now with the way interest rates are, right, and the way financing is. So, um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Now you are, because I just realized I didn't do a great job of introducing you, because we've been knowing each other for years, so we just go straight to it. But the world may not know who you are. Some folks may do, but so I've been knowing Tommy, I don't know, probably at least over 10 years. He started off in the valet space, right, of a hotel, and he worked his way up from a valet attendant to general manager to what regional. Then he got into corporate when he got into management. He worked for a third party management company. Now he has his own firm where he asset manages hotels, including mine. And so he's doing a phenomenal job. So Tommy, as an asset manager and a consultant, when you work with your clients, do you help them, structure their deals? Do you give advice on how they can structure, especially, in the financing world, with it's getting better slowly, right? But transactions are starting to pick up. You mentioned earlier, mostly bigger transactions, but with the interest rates coming down, and it looks like there's starting to be a little bit of more movement when it comes into the hotel space. So, do you offer any services where you help structure deals, or help provide any consulting or information for those who may find it challenging, or they don't know how to structure it, right? Because there's so many different ways that you can create a finance.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you think about how long you and I have been in the industry, what you're really kind of getting when you're talking to professionals like us are our network, right? And our
Mhm.
network is so deep and vast, where people say, hey, I need a hospitality loan. We can make one or two phone calls or introduce you to a handful of people that we've worked with for a decade, who can help you out on these things. So I'd say I can definitely help, work on deal structures, or create waterfalls, or advise you on what's a normal structure. So waterfall is just, it's essentially just a breakdown of, money that's coming from the investment, and how it's getting distributed down to the different people in the different investors, whether you're a general partner or limited partner, and who gets what and how much do they get and when do they get it. There's different hurdles. It sounds complicated, but actually once you sit down and think through it,
Yeah.
we can distill that down for you and make it a little bit easier to digest. But yeah, so I definitely have done that for a lot of different people, and help them create their different structures, and introduce them to attorneys, right? Because that's a big thing, right? You're going to need an attorney. Unless you're an attorney yourself, and even then, you should still go get an attorney.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think so. So Tommy, how can people find you?
Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's bhospitalityadvisors.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well, on Facebook. So yeah, connect with me there. I would love to chat with you if I can help you out. Happy to do it.
Now, I just thought of something. I know we're about to go, but this is a question that there may be some people that are listening who will probably want to know this. Can you help with, or is it a possibility to help restructure a deal after it's already been closed, right? So, meaning refinancing, meaning, different ways of restructuring the loans, do you help with that as well? Is that a
Sure.
possibility?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. It's things I can help you out with.
Yeah.
It's when it relates to my strong suit. My strong suit, I come from the operational side of the business. I have a lot of experience on deal sourcing, underwriting deals, working with management companies,
Mm,
overseeing GMs and that kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I have experience on the financing side, but I wouldn't say that I'm like a guru on you
Right.
know um, being able to work through all that, but I can help
But
for
you know
sure.
the right people, right? It's possible. Like some of the things that can come into place and even getting prepared for restructuring. You mentioned a good point about the operations, right? So yes, folks know hotels is an operating business and a franchise model sitting on real estate, right? So in order for you able to restructure it for it to be profitable, you have to get the operations intact, right? So if your hotel isn't performing, and you want to refinance, or you want to work to get out of the loan that you're or try to get rid of your management company, because they're not performing. Those are some of the things that can be done to help improve operations, to help improve, to work with, and restructuring your loan, or when it comes time to financing. But that was it. That was my tea for the week. Make sure you follow me. I'm on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. All of that will be in the notes. I put the link into that article that we were referring to, Hotel Investment Today. Thank you, Tom. I'll put his contact information there as well, so that way you can follow him and connect with him if you have any questions. If you need any assistance with working on deals, underwriting deals, he's my go-to when it comes to underwriting. If you need an asset manager for your project or management selection, you even do executive coaching. I mean, executive search now, right? Too. So
Yeah,
Tommy
you
is
shared
definitely
some $1 billion tea today. That was $1 billion tea.
$1 billion tea, baby. So yes, so make sure you check with me next week. And if you are not on my mailing list or my newsletter, make sure that you sign up, so that it's absolutely free. So I'll be coming to you every week, sharing you some tea that's going on in the hospitality space and everything hotel ownership. You all have a fabulous week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Tommy.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.